Sri Sri Panchatattva Ki. This is an announcement for all those devotees who are sponsoring a Kailash. If you have sponsored a Kailash, please come up to the left-hand side of the Panchatattva altar immediately. All those who have sponsored a Kailash, please come up to the front of the altar on the left.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo, Haribo, Haribo.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to all of you. How's everyone doing? Hare Krishna, hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, uncle, how are you?
Hare Krishna, how are you?
Good, good, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, auntie, how are you doing?
Good, good, thank you.
Good to hear your voice.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do one round of chanting and then we'll start with our program. So anyone would like to lead the chanting? Please, can you start? I will also play the Prabhupada's chanting in the background.
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare 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 Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna Ram Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Ram Krishna Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare. Hare Krishna Ram Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare. Ram Hare. Hare Ram Hare. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare
Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome again to today's program. Thank you so much for joining. So usually we do the presentation and talk by all the volunteers at 7:45. So today's turn was Anirudh Sharma's turn, son of Preeti Sharma Mataji, but he's traveling, so he couldn't make it. So what we will do, we all together will sing this beautiful, beautiful Ashtakam. This is written by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and the name of the Ashtakam is Guru Ashtakam. Actually, I'm sorry, I wanted to do the Six Goswami Ashtakam, so give me a second. Let me pull it up and make sure all of you can see it. Hope everyone is doing good. Okay, finally I got it. So can everyone see this on the screen? Is it good enough to read?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we will do, there are Ashtakam means 8, right? The Sanskrit word is Ashtakam. So we all can take turns and sing. So I can start the first one, and we can follow the same tune. So feel free to join, and or maybe better to take turn by turn so there is no echo. Okay, so whoever want to participate, please do. It's a beautiful, beautiful Ashtakam in the glorification of our 6 Goswamis, right? Who are the 6 Goswamis? Anyone knows the name of all the Goswamis? Or any one Goswami? We're also talking about them in our 15-minute series since last few weeks. I see a hand raised, so Bhavya. Anyone other than Bhavya? I know she knows.
Rup Goswami,
Haribol.
Rupa
Goswami
Sanatana,
Path, yes.
Deep Goswami,
Rupa Sanatana Raghunath Das Bhatt,
Haribol. Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatan Goswami, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, Srila Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, Srila Gopal Bhatt Goswami, and Srila Jeev Goswami. So all the 6 Goswamis, this is in glorification of these Goswamis, and it is written by Srinivas Acharya, and it's a beautiful. So we'll also see the meaning. So let's read the meaning first. Maybe we can all take turns and read the meaning first. Anyone can start the first one?
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are always engaged in chanting the holy name of Krishna and dancing. They are just like the ocean of love of God, and they are popular both with the gentle and with the ruffians because they're not envious of anyone. Whatever they do, they are all pleasing to everyone, and they are fully blessed by Lord Chaitanya. Thus they are engaged in missionary activities meant to deliver all the conditioned souls in the material universe.
Okay, second. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Srila Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the 3 worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. Anyone would like to read the third one?
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Dasa Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very much enriched in understanding of Lord Chaitanya and who are thus expert in narrating his transcendental qualities. They can purify all conditioned souls from the reactions of their sinful activities by pouring upon them transcendental songs about Govinda. As such, they are very expert in increasing the limits of the ocean of transcendental bliss, and they are the saviors of the living entities from the devouring mouth of liberation.
Great. Fourth.
I offer my respectful obeisance unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, and Sri Jiv Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatt Goswami, who kicked off all association of aristocracy as insignificant in order to deliver the poor conditioned souls. They accept loin clothes, treating themselves as mendicants, but they are always merged in the ascetic ocean of the gopis. Love the Krishna and the bath always and the repeatedly in the babes of the ocean.
The fifth one.
I
I
offer,
offer. Yeah.
I offer my respectful obeisances on to the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Santana Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Bhatt Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Dasa Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatt Goswami, who were always engaged in worshipping Radha Krishna in the transcendental land of Vrindavana, where there are beautiful trees full of fruits and flowers, which have under their roots all valuable jewels. The Goswamis are perfectly competent to bestow upon the living entities the greatest boon of the goal of life.
Thank you. The next one.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatt Goswami, who were engaged in chanting the holy names of the Lord and bowing down in a scheduled measurement. In this way, they utilize their valuable lives, and in executing these devotional activities, they conquered over eating and sleeping and were always meek and humble, enchanted by remembering the transcendental qualities of the Lord.
Next one.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who were sometimes on the bank of Radhakunda Lake or the shores of Yamuna, and sometimes at Vamsivata. They appeared just like madmen in the full ecstasy of love for Krishna, exhibiting different transcendental symptoms in their bodies, and they were merged in the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness.
Last one.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Dasa Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who were chanting very loudly everywhere in Vrindavan, shouting, "Queen of Vrindavan, Radharani, O Lalita, O son of Nanda Maharaj, where are you all now? Are you just on the hill of Govardhan, or are you under the trees of the bank of Yamuna? Where are you? These were the moods in executing Krishna consciousness.
Hari Bol, beautiful mood. So very, very sweet Ashtakam, and Guru Maharaj says we should recite it every day. And we can see in all the 8 stanzas, the names of all the 6 Goswamis repeats. So this also gives us the opportunity to recite the names of these pure devotees when we recite these Ashtakams. And reciting the names of pure devotees, Mahajans, is non-different from Krishna's names. Krishna gets very pleased when we glorify and recite the names of his pure devotees. So we'll try to glorify by reciting this Ashtakam. So all of you can join. If there will be echo, I will see if I can mute, but otherwise I think we all can do it together. Let's see. The tune it goes by is, so before we start, we also welcome all the devotees, everyone who is also joining this program through Facebook and YouTube. I know quite a few people join or they see it later also. So we also welcome you. And I will request you whenever possible, you can join us live through Zoom also. That way it will be more participative for all of you also. So thank you so much for joining on the online platform. Hare Krishna. So we'll start reciting this. The tune it goes by is Krishnat Kirtan Gana Nartan Paro Premamritambo Nidhi Dhira Dhira Jana Priya Priya Karo Nirmatsaro Pujito Shri Chaitanya Kripa Bharo Bhuvi Bhuvo Bharavahantarako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako. We all can try to sing the next one. Nana Shastra Vicharane Kanipuno Shadharma Sanstapako Lokamahitkarya Tribhuvane Manyam Sharangyakaro Radha Krishna Padarvinda Bhajana Anandena Mataliko Vande Rupa Sanatana Yugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Shri Gauranga Gunanu Varnana Vidho Shraddha Samruddhyanvito Papotapanikrantano Tanubhritam Govinda Ganamrite Ananda Vardhane Nipuno Nishtarako Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Tyaktva Turnamashimandalapati Shrenim Pradatujavat
Bhutva Dina
Ganesha Kaukarunaya
Gopina Kanthasto Gopi
Bhavarata Bilahari Kallolamagno Muhuro Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Kujat Gopil Hamsa Sarasagana Kirne Mayurakule Nana
Ratna Nivad Mula
Vitapa
Shri Yukta Vrindavane
Radha Krishna
Pranamisham
Pranamisham
Prabhajato
Prabhajato
Jivamudo Yomuda
Vande
Vande
Rupa
Sanatana
Sanatana Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako
Sankhya
Sankhya Purvaka Nama
Gananati
Gananati
Kala
Kalavashani Krato Netrahara Vihara Padi Pujito
Chatyantino Chayo
Chayo Radha
Radha Krishna
Krishna
Gunasmrite
Gunasmrite
Madhurya
Madhurya
Anandena
Anandena
Sammohito
Sammohito
Vande
Vande Rupa
Rupa
Sanatana
Sanatana
Raghuyugo
Shri
Shri
Jiva
Jiva
Gopalako
Gopalako
Radha
Radha
Kunda
Kunda
Kate
Kate
Kalinda
Kalinda
Tire
Tire Chamam
Chavanshivate
Shivate
Premunmada
Munadashade
Vasucheshaya
Vasukeshaya
Grastau Pramatam
Pramatam
Sada
Sada
Gayanto
Gayanto
Chakada Hare
Hare
Guravaram
Gunavam
Bhava
Bhava
Vande
Vande
Rupa
Rupa
Sanatana
Sanatana
Raghuyago
Raghuyago
Shri Jiva
Jiva Gopalako
He
He
Radhe
Radhe
Braja
Braja
Devi
Devi
Ke
Ke
Chalalite
Chalalite
He
He
Nanda
Nanda
Suno
Sunota
Shri Govardhan
Goshamadana
Kalpa
Kalpapada
Padale
Patale
Kalindi Vane Sutaha
Anandita
Ghoshantamiti
Iti
Sarvato Brajapure
Brajapure
Khede
Mahaviro
Mahaviro Vande
Vande Rupa
Sanatana Raghuyago
Sanatana
Shri
Shri
Jiva
Jiva
Gopalako
Gopalako
Shat Goswami
Vande
Path ki jai. So thank you so much for joining in reciting. With this, we'll proceed with our next part of the program. And before that, the schedule is here. I think you can see, yeah, you should be able to see it. So next turn is Anisha Agrawal. So please make sure all of you regularly check this schedule and put the name of the topic that you will be covering. So 7:45 p.m. next week, Anisha Agrawal. Okay, so with that, we'll proceed with our Bhagavad Gita reading with the blessings of our Goswamis, Srila Prabhupada, our gurus. And give me a second. So we'll start with our Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Tapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijan Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगे राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमान् श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So today we are going to start with Bhagavad Gita, verse number 5.17, chapter 5, verse number 17. So with the blessings of our acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, we'll try to understand this verse and if possible, 5.18 also. So just give me one more second. So I hope all of you can see the verse on the screen. We will do the recitation and we'll proceed with the understanding. Tad buddhayastad atmanas tannishthastat parayanaha gachanti apunar avratim jnana nirdhut kalmashaha. Anyone would like to recite? You'll have to unmute yourself.
Tad buddhyastat atmanas tannishtastat parayana gachanti apurnar avritim jnana tirduta kalmasha.
One more.
Yeah, Bhavya, कर ले. Okay.
Okay. Anyone?
तद्बुद्धयस्तदानत्मान् अस्तिनिष्ठास्तपरायणा गच्छत्य पुनरावृत्तिं ज्ञानानिर्धूतकल्मषः.
Thank you. So synonyms, word by word meaning. Tad buddhaya, those whose intelligence is always in the Supreme. Tad atmanaha, those whose minds are always in the Supreme. Tat nishtaha, those whose faith is only meant for the Supreme. Very, very important verse. Tat parayanaha, who have completely taken shelter of him. Gachanti, go. Apun avritim, apunaha avritim, to liberation. Gyan, by knowledge. Nirdhuta, cleansed. Kalmashaha, misgivings. Translation: when one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. So, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anyone would like to read the purport? Who have not spoken yet? Maybe somebody else.
The Supreme, can you hear me properly?
Yeah, there is little echo. If you can come closer to the mic, maybe. Anyone else?
Is this better?
No. Okay, anyone else can read?
The
Otherwise, I'm
Supreme
ready.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please go ahead.
Yeah. From translation, right?
From the purport.
Okay. The supreme transcendental truth is Lord Krishna. The whole Bhagavad Gita centers around the declaration that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. That is the version of all Vedic literature. Paratattva means the supreme reality who is understood by the knowers of the supreme as Brahman. Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagwan. Bhagwan, or the supreme personality of Godhead, is the last word in the absolute. There is nothing more than that. The Lord says, Mata parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhanan jaya.
Dhananjaya.
What is that?
Dhananjaya.
Dhananjaya, sorry.
That is another name of Arjun.
Oh, yeah. Dhananjaya. Arjun. Dhananjaya. Impersonal Brahman is also supported by Krishna. Brahmano hi pratisthaham. Therefore, in all ways, Krishna is the supreme reality. One whose mind, intelligence, faith, and refuge are always in Krishna, or in other words, one who is fully in Krishna consciousness is undoubtedly washed clean of all misgivings and is in perfect knowledge in everything concerning transcendence. A Krishna conscious person can thoroughly understand that there is duality, simultaneous identity, and individuality in Krishna. And equipped with such transcendental knowledge, one can make steady progress on the path of liberation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So a very humble request to all the devotees on the call. Please make sure when we join, we should try to hear or read whatever we are doing very, very attentively. I know it's an online platform, so sometimes you tend to get phased out, but because these verses are so important. And if we read this purport, maybe if you go back after the program and read this purport and shloka again, you will really find it so useful, each of these verses in chapter 5. I mean, of course, the whole Bhagavad Gita. So just wanted to make sure we emphasize and we focus on the meanings and purports and translation. And we are paying more attention, and because this online platform, I know it's sometimes become a little boring also, we get phased out also. So I'm just trying to keep all of you awake by alarming, in between. So if I make any offense, please apologize. I apologize, but that is my duty, I think. So wonderful words. We see so many times that, that word is being used in this verse. So let's try to see the context. In the previous verse, 3 weeks back, because last week didn't have this program, and before that we have Gaur Purnima, and before that we were preparing our consciousness for Gaur Purnima. So we are again reading Bhagavad Gita after 3 weeks. So anyone remember? Let's have a test. What we discussed in the last verse? Any keyword? Anyone remembers? 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Time is running fast. So in the previous verse, we discussed about how spiritual knowledge, how knowledge it gives strength to us, to a living entity, and it destroys the darkness of ignorance. Right? Krishna is telling Arjuna that how spiritual knowledge dissipates this darkness. And this strength is received from spiritual master, who is representative of Lord Balram, Bal, strength, spiritual strength. Right? We discussed about how spiritual master, our acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, when we become their follower, जब हम उनके अनुगत हो जाते हैं, right? When we start following them, surrender to them, then this transcendental knowledge that we can understand, we get this knowledge through the medium of Guru. So, and what happens? This, why we have to obtain this knowledge? Because ignorance, it causes bondage to this material world. The reason we are in conditioned life, we are in this material world, is because of ignorance, right? We made a bad choice. It was a bad deal. We wanted to enjoy separate from Krishna, right? In very simple terms. And we had our own desires to lord it over the nature. We wanted to become Ishwar, our own Ishwar, little Ishwar. So Krishna says, okay, out of his compassion, he says, go play in the material world. You can do whatever, you can struggle, you can become your own Ishwar. And we all start thinking ourselves as big controllers, big, with so much ego, right? That we are the center of the whole universe, whole creation. And that's due to that false ego, we are conditioned, tied up in this material world. So what happens as we read these scriptures under the guidance of our spiritual masters, in the proper association of devotees, in the proper mood, in the surrendered mood, not in the challenging mood, in very humble mood, then we start understanding this spiritual knowledge, not as a theory, but as practical application. What happens? The bondage that we are tied up to due to ignorance, this knowledge, this spiritual knowledge, releases us from that ignorance. So what is this spiritual knowledge we are talking about? We use so many times spiritual knowledge in the last classes also. So anyone would like to comment on that? What knowledge are we talking about here? What kind of knowledge are we talking about? Please don't say you don't know. Just no answer is incorrect. All answers will be right. Just try to give some answer.
Knowledge, transcendental knowledge.
Yeah, but what does it mean?
It's kind of Vedic jnana, even Vedic knowledge.
Okay, again, what does it mean? What knowledge are we talking about?
So Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay, number one, very good.
We are the eternal souls. And
number two, very good.
Das Anudas.
Haribol. So thank you, Rambabu Prabhu, very nice. So the knowledge we are talking about is this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, right? And there are 5 main topics that are covered in this Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna has spoken about 5 main topics here. One is Bhagwan himself, the God, Jiva, the living entity, the soul, like we, the karma, the law of karma, then the prakriti, that is material nature, the modes of material nature. So if you all of you want to make notes, please do. These, whatever we discuss, at least we should make some notes in every program, because they are coming directly from Srila Prabhupada, and we are trying to discuss them in very simple words. So it's very that way you can follow through the whole conversation every week. So that will be my request. I can only request, but I can assure you it will be very, very helpful. So Bhagavan, Jiva, Karma, Prakriti, the modes of material nature, and 5th is Kal, time. So these are the 5 main subjects that are discussed in Bhagavad Gita. So how they relate? Like what is my relationship with God? Does God exist or not? Who is the God? What is my relationship with God? How to reestablish my relation with God? Because we have lost that relationship. That's why we are conditioned, we are tied up, we are kind of in this material world, right? What is the goal of life? So those kind of topics are the then subtopics out of these high level topics. Very important to keep that in mind. What exactly is our goal? What are we trying to understand when we read Bhagavad Gita? In that context, then we can understand this gyan, this knowledge very well. So in this verse, another word used is the word you use many times is tat. Tat means supreme. Here, tat means supreme. Who is supreme? Who is supreme? Supreme Lord Krishna. Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishna. Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anade Radir Govinda Sarvakaran Karanam. The Supreme Lord is Krishna, the Govinda, who is the cause of all causes. So, when we talk about the spiritual knowledge, there is another beautiful description in another verse in chapter 6, in chapter 10, where Krishna says, Gyan Deepena Bhashvata. Gyan Deepena Bhashvat. It means with the shining lamp of knowledge, it destroys the darkness that is born out of ignorance. So, very poetic description is given in that verse, that how the shining lamp of knowledge destroys this ignorance. In Six Goswamis also, that we sang on the day of Gaur Purnima, and we went through the whole meaning of that. There is a verse. Anyone remember? The first verse. There is a homework that we all should recite that verse, and even the whole Six Goswamis actually. Okay. So the verse is, let me share it so that everybody can see it. Cheto darpan marjanam bhavmahadavagni nirvapanam shreya kairav chandrika vitranam vidyavadu jivanam. This is the first two lines of the first verse. Vidyavadu jivanam. So how we get this spiritual knowledge? Of course, through the medium of our Gurujans. But what Gurujans tell us? To chant, to do the Sankirtan. What happens with that? This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. So the point I'm trying to make is the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, coming together and doing Kirtan, Sankirtan, is so important in this age, because in this age, no other process works. So even to understand this transcendental knowledge, this spiritual knowledge, we have to feed our soul and mind properly first. And that happens through the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So whenever chanting, when we regularly chant, and that's why we also say, request all devotees to come on time in the program, join the program on time, because what happens? We chant through the medium of Sankirtan, Kirtan in the beginning for a few minutes. Even chanting we do. We set our consciousness properly so that we can focus on the Shravanam part, right? Whatever we are hearing, we can understand it properly. Whatever we are reading or discussing, because this is transcendental knowledge, just not theory. I just wanted to emphasize that point. Now, what is the effect of this knowledge is described in this verse. What happens? The effect of spiritual knowledge, fixed intelligence. There are four things: fixed intelligence, fixed mind, fixed faith, and fixed surrender. Unto whom? The Supreme, Lord Krishna. So our intelligence, our mind, our faith, and our surrender, right? They get fixed in Supreme Lord, in Krishna. So fixed faith means our faith is not shaky. Somebody said something, then our mind, gets diverted somewhere. We are always constantly have a constant faith that Supreme is Lord Krishna. And nobody can shake our faith, our devotion, our sadhana. Similarly, shelter. Refuge means shelter. So we take shelter in Krishna, not in people. In this material world, we tend to start taking shelter or run after people who have, who have opulence, who have more wealth, who have more education, who are in big positions, right? There is a natural tendency of a conditioned soul to take shelter of such kind of high profile people. But the only person who is worth taking surrender is Krishna, Bhagavan. Because why? Because apunaha avritam. Meaning what? By taking shelter of Krishna, we become free from the from the cycle of birth and death. We get liberation. That's why. Nobody else can give us that. Everybody else will exploit us in the material world, except Krishna and devotees. Krishna, with the association of devotees and serving Krishna and devotees, we can attain liberation. Okay. So wonderful pastimes come in Ramayana. How Vibhishan, he took shelter of Lord Ram. In spite of he living in Lanka, in the middle of so many demons, Rakshas, right? He has his mind, intelligence, faith, surrender fixed in Bhagavan, in Ram, right? Otherwise, it would have not been possible for him in that state, in that country, and that environment to be fixed in his consciousness in Lord Ram. And what he did after he was kicked out of Lanka by his brother demon Raman, what he did, he came into the shelter of Lord Ram. And what happened there when he came to the camp of Lord Ram across the ocean? Everybody said, including Sugriv and all the other senior Vanaras, they say, no, he belongs to the enemy. So we should not include him in our camp. Maybe he is here to destroy us, to get our secrets. But what Shri Ram said, I cannot help. Why? Because what is the nature of Krishna, Ram? That once who comes to him to take shelter, even once if we say that we want to take shelter of you, O Krishna, O Ram, he cannot refuse. That is his nature. That is his promise. So in spite of all the advices which were against giving shelter to to Vibhishan, Lord Ram gave shelter to Vibhishan. That is his nature. Bhakta Vatsal. So that way, Vibhishan's life got perfection. He got shelter of the Supreme Lord. Similarly, we see in the past times that comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, there was a demon called with the name Narkasur. It comes in the Dwarka Leela. He kidnapped 16,100 princes from various states. When he defeated the kings, he abducted those princesses. Then that was reported to Lord Krishna in Dwarka, and then Krishna he came and he killed. It's a long pastime. So he came and he killed Narkasur, and he freed all these princesses. Now these princesses requested Krishna that now because we were kidnapped by this demon, nobody else will accept us. Even our families will not accept us. That was the Vedic culture. So we have no other choice. We have no other choice but to suicide. Krishna, because they were asking, the princesses were asking for the shelter, what Krishna did? Krishna not only gave them the shelter, but he also accepted them as his queens. So these were 16,100 queens of Krishna, plus 8 main queens who were already married to Krishna. But in total, 16,108. So the point is that once we take shelter of Lord, and what these princesses were doing when they were kidnapped and they were in the prison, they were always thinking, always glorifying, always praying to Krishna in their hearts, in their minds, in their prayers, to save them. So again, the same example comes. We have to fix our mind intelligently. We don't have to take shelter of anybody else but Krishna. That strong faith, 100% faith we should have. Not that one day we are in high devotion, second day we are doing anything we want and we have no consciousness. Not like that. That comes with regular chanting, regular association of devotees, regular reading of the scriptures in the proper association, understanding them. And so those princesses got the shelter of Krishna. So Krishna gave them very high position. So once we surrender, Krishna will give us not only shelter, not only abhadan, he will make us free from all the fears, all the anxieties, but also he will give us anything we need. All our requirements, all our needs will be fulfilled by him. He will give us a lot of respect, a lot of opulence, once we surrender fully to him. Just like Vibhishan, what he got, the whole kingdom of Lanka he got. Well, of course, the pure devotees don't desire those kind of material things. But the point is that only one who is worth taking shelter is Krishna, Ram. So another point that comes here is, we are talking about engaging our mind, intelligence, our faith, our consciousness fully in Krishna. What does it mean? We should get fully absorbed in Krishna. Without any sanshaya, without any doubt, right? What happens? When we hear the pastimes of Krishna, Lord, then sometimes doubts come in our mind because we don't understand these pastimes or we don't study them and in the proper association from proper source. So a lot of people sometimes doubt these pastimes like Ras Leela, Gopi Vastraharan Leela. So those kind of intimate pastimes, very hard to understand sometimes. But once we are fixed in our knowledge, in the spiritual knowledge, there is no problem because we know who Krishna is. And we can very easily understand all his pastimes. So there is no confusion in mind. There is no suspicious in our mind. Right? Parayan, the word used here is parayan, that is the shelter, complete shelter. So Srila Prabhupada also used to say to his disciples and his followers, get fully absorbed with me when you are reading and discussing these purports, these literature written by me. What does it mean? That whenever we are in the program and we are reading, we are discussing, we have to participate. We have to get fully absorbed. Just not that we are here for the formality. No, we have to get fully engaged. We should ask questions. If there is any question, we should participate. We should make sure we can even repeat the same thing that is discussed to make sure our understanding is correct. We should follow through. We should make notes. That is full absorption. Then only we can understand this Bhagavad Gita. Reading through it 10 times, anyone can do it. But what is the teaching? How to understand, how to absorb these qualities, how to practice these qualities will not come until we get our consciousness fully absorbed in these topics. So when we say purport, what is the meaning of purport? In Hindi, it is called as tatparya. We have been reading this Bhagavad Gita for so long. Anyone knows the meaning of purport? The real meaning of purport?
Tatparya.
Yeah, but what does it mean?
Actual meaning of
The goal, the dhey of this verse, right? This translation, what our acharyas are trying to tell us to follow, right? So these purports for each verse, that's why Prabhupada wrote for all of us. They're very practical applications. It is Srila Prabhupada said, these are my transcendental ecstasies. These are not ordinary purports. So we should make a purport of our life that we should understand these purports very, very sincerely, very, very nicely. And it will require not only good association of devotees, but also some self-reading also. Okay. So let's go to the next part. Any question on this verse? If not, we can, I think we have few minutes more. We can take the next verse also. Any questions, any comments on this verse? The idea is to absorb our consciousness completely, our mind, intelligence, everything that we have in Krishna completely. And how will it happen? By constant hearing, by constant reading, by discussing these pastimes in the association of devotees constantly. Wonderful pastimes Krishna has. I hope everyone has this Krishna book. If not, maybe let me try to show it. This Krishna book, beautiful pastimes from Canto 10 of Bhagavatam. And when we understand these this transcendental knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, very easy to understand these pastimes and to grab the teachings from these pastimes. And once we understand these pastimes, that is how pure devotees, they do their sadhana. They read, they write, they read, and then they glorify Krishna through their singing these pastimes. So let me also recite a beautiful bhajan quickly. It is written by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. That shows when pure devotees, they understand, these they live these pastimes in their consciousness, and then they glorify by their singing. Ravan ant kar makhan tas kar gopi jana vastrahari ब्रजेर राखल गोप वृंदापाल चित्तहारी वंशीधारी यशोदानंदन कंसन शुद्धन निकुंज रास विलासी कदम्ब कानन रास परायण वृंदा विपिन बिहारी आनंद वर्धन प्रेमानिकेतन फूल शरचुज कामा गोपांगना गण चित्त विनोदन समस्त गुण गण धामा जमुना जीवन जमुना जीवन केली परायण मानस चंद्र चकोरा नाम शुद्ध रस गाओ कृष्ण जश राखो वचन मन मोरा. So Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur is reciting all these pastimes. There is no doubt in his mind about these pastimes. He's enjoying these pastimes. He's becoming part of these pastimes. But that will happen, that stage will come only after we understand this transcendental knowledge. Who Krishna is, what is our relationship, what is our duty towards him, what is our position with respect to Krishna. No speculation. Concrete, authentic knowledge. That is the whole purpose of this chapter in Bhagavad Gita. Okay. And there is one more point I wanted to cover is, even in Bhagavad Gita verse 10, let me pull up that verse, very important point to make a note of. What Krishna says, due to contamination of material association through many millions of births, one's heart is always covered with the dust of materialism. But when one engages in devotional service and constantly chants Hare Krishna, the dust quickly clears and one is elevated to the platform of pure knowledge. So we can do this one thing properly, regularly, constantly, fixed number of rounds, chanting every morning, every day. We can see the difference in our the spiritual knowledge that we are able to understand. And the pure devotees does not have to worry about the material necessities of life. He need not be anxious, because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Lord, who is pleased by the devotional loving service of devotee. So when we get this knowledge, all our fears, all our worries, anxieties will go away. And when they will go away, we can serve Krishna more pleasingly, more happily, more lovingly. And Krishna will, just like we discussed the pastimes of 16,100 princes and Vibhishan, all our needs will be fulfilled. We don't have to worry about our material needs. They doesn't mean that we are going to renounce. No, that's not. In those pastimes, there was no renunciation. We still do our dharma, our services. But the idea is our fears, because the reason we are in anxiety and fear is because we are always thinking what will happen in the future, in spite of no matter how much money one is earning, how secure one has the job, but there is always a fear. Isn't that true? Everyone is still fear somewhere in their heart. What will happen to me 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line, tomorrow? What if I will have the job or not? What will happen to the kids? All those fears are there, and they eat up so much energy, so much time, and so much consciousness is taken away because of these fears, that we can't focus our time, which is property of Krishna. This time is also property of Krishna. We can't focus that in the service of Krishna. But Krishna says, when you surrender to me, you serve for me, Yog Shivam Vahamyam. Whatever you need will be provided. Okay. Any questions, any comments? Anything you disagree with or agree with? Feel free to unmute yourself. So no question means everything is understood. That's a good news. We still have about 10-15 minutes, so let's try to cover the next verse. Do 5.18. Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Sunichaiva Pakecha Panditaha Samdarshinaha. Synonyms, word to word meaning. Vidya, with education. Vinay, and gentleness. Sampanne, fully equipped. Brahmane, in the Brahmana. Gavi, in the cow. Hastini, in the elephant. Shuni, in the dog. Cha, and Ev, certainly. Shwa Pake, in the dog eater, the outcast. Cha, respectively. Panditaha, those who are wise. Samdarshinaha, who see with equal vision. Translation. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahman, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Anyone would like to read Purport?
A Krishna conscious person does not make any distinction between species or caste. The Brahmana and the outcast may be different from the social point of view, or a dog, a cow, and an elephant may be different from the point of view of species. But these differences of body are meaningless from the viewpoint of a learned transcendentalist. This is due to the relationship to the Supreme. For the Supreme Lord, by his plenary portions as Paramatma, is present in everyone's heart. Such an understanding of the Supreme is real knowledge. As far as the bodies are concerned, in different castes or different species of life, the Lord is equally kind to everyone because he treats every living being as a friend, yet maintains himself as Paramatma, regardless of the circumstances of the living entities. The Lord as Paramatma is present both in the outcast and in the Brahmanas. Although the body of Brahmana and that of an outcast are not the same, the bodies are material productions of different modes of material nature, but the soul and the supersoul within the body are of the same spiritual quality. The similarity in the quality of the soul and the supersoul, however, does not make them equal in quantity. For the individual soul is present only in the particular body, whereas the Paramatma is present in each and every body. A Krishna conscious person has full knowledge of this, and therefore he is truly learned and has equal vision. The similar characteristics of the soul and supersoul are that they are both conscious, eternal, and blissful. But the difference is that the individual soul is conscious within the limited jurisdiction of the body, whereas the supersoul is conscious of all bodies. The supersoul is present in all bodies without distinction. Hare Krishna.
Another beautiful shlok on Purport. Vidya Vinay Sampanne. It's a very famous verse also. Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastani Shuni Chaiva Shapake Cha Panditaha Samdarshana. Very, very important and very beautiful verse. So, Vidya Vinay Sampanne meaning what if you're talking about spiritual knowledge, right? So, what comes with knowledge? Any answers? What is the result of knowledge? What character one develops? What kind of character?
So, with the spiritual knowledge, we get who is Krishna, what is our relationship with Krishna, and what is my.
Yeah, that is the knowledge part. But what kind of character a person develops?
Intelligence.
Humbleness.
Humbleness. Ram Abu Prabhu is striking 100% today. Hari bol. Because that is the whole purpose of this verse. Of course, we get intelligence. So intelligence comes with knowledge. But what kind of character once developed? One becomes humble by knowledge. This is another one of the least understood verse. Humility and samdarshana. Very, very misunderstood verse. So with knowledge comes humbleness. These are the signs of a person who has spiritual knowledge. He is very, very, very humble. Look at the lives of all our Gurujana, Srila Prabhupada, all Acharyas. We are reading about them. We are speaking about them in our 15-minute slot also every Friday. So that's the whole idea, that we see how simple, how humble their lives were, in spite of top-class spiritual knowledge, consciousness. Vidya Vinay Sampanne. So knowledge with arrogance is not real knowledge. Agreed? If somebody is arrogant, in spite of no matter how much knowledge he has, even in corporate world, people will not tolerate him for long. Forget about spirituality, right? So knowledge and arrogance doesn't mean that person is showing it by speaking. In his behavior also, some people are quiet, but You can see their arrogance in their face, in their behavior. They might not be speaking it up, but it is very much pertinent in their behavior. So knowledge with arrogance is not real knowledge. What are the features of such people? They will try to prove their superiority. स्वयं का गुणगान करेंगे, बोलते ना खुद की बड़ाई, स्वयं का गान. They will never listen to superiors. Rather, they will focus on finding the shortcomings, the faults, and criticize them for each and everything. That is the nature of person who is arrogant. So what Krishna is saying, that if we are in spiritual knowledge, then or a person when he is in spiritual knowledge, he is filled with spiritual knowledge, we will find him very humble. That is the real knowledge. Knowledge with real humility. When I say real humility, means not fake humility, not artificial humility, not just in the words, but in actions and behavior. And with each and everyone, not that with one person or one group of people we are humble, and with some other person we are not humble. No. Some darshana with everyone. So in the Gaur Punya program also, it was discussed in the Six Astakam verse. What was that verse? Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahashnuna amanina mandena kirtaniya sadahari. And specifically Padma Prabhu recited that verse again in the end, because without that verse, without following that verse, we cannot progress in spirituality. We can read all these literatures, we can do whatever we want, we can wear dhoti kurta, we can speak a lot like me, I'm speaking, we can give big classes, but without that mood, we will lose the essence. We might win the battle, but we will lose the war. Strinadapi sunichena. That should be, Srila Prabhupada said, or some other Acharya said, I forgot the name, that verse should be the necklace in our body. Meaning, we should always remember that verse and remind ourselves of that. So this is a very important quality. Humility is the most important quality in spirituality of a devotee, of a Vaishnava. Not that what it means, that one should not be arrogant, should not be agitated, should not be filled with pride. And it should reflect in overall behavior, not sometimes, not kabhi kabhi, tabi tabi, always, all the time. And it should show up in all our dealings, right? That humility should be expressed in all our dealings. So the point is that in this verse, who are being discussed, who are being mentioned? Brahman, cow, elephant, dog eater. What is the purpose of mentioning all these characters, all these creatures? A person who is in spiritual knowledge, he will see soul, Atma and Paramatma in all living entities. He understands that beyond this body, beyond this outer covering, it is nothing but soul and Paramatma. That is one understanding. And why these different kind of creatures are mentioned here? Because different modes. So like Brahmana is in the mode of goodness. A cow is also in the mode of goodness. Elephant is supposed to be in the mode of passion. Dog and even dog eaters, they are in the mode of ignorance. So in spite of different modes of nature these living entities may have, a person who is learned, truly learned in spiritual science, in Krishna consciousness, he still sees Atma and Paramatma. He doesn't see the bodily characters and these modes. So how come he see that? Because he's so humble. He always think himself lower than anybody else. Very difficult. Seeing ourselves lower than some people or few selected people is easy. We can't help it because somebody will always be better than us. But thinking that we are lower than each and every entity in this world is a lifetime job. Okay, so this humility but this humility, or at least desiring to be humble, making effort to be humble, is prerequisite in our sadhana. It is prerequisite of a devotee. So later in chapter 18, whenever we will be able to reach chapter 18, Krishna will mention that to be in the mode of goodness, seeing soul and super soul in each and every living entity, regardless of external bodily features. We should see, that Krishna will tell Arjuna that that's how we should see everyone. And a person who is not humble, who is ignorant, who is arrogant, he will always discriminate. He will always say he's superior, he's inferior. But a Pandit, the real Pandit, a real Vaishnava he will see beyond all those traits. But there is a word of caution here. When we are saying a Pandit, a Vaishnava, a true devotee, a pure devotee will see everyone as soul and Atma Paramatma level, that is at the spiritual level. It's not about material equality. We cannot say, oh, this dog is essentially Atma only. Let's make him sit on the Vyasasana. Let's hear from him. Right? That's not practical at all. So at the material level, we are not talking about material level. We are talking about spiritual equality. Right? So if a person has a bad behavior, or he demands certain position, certain respect, in spite of his bad behavior, so Guru Maharaj always says that we should give everybody the due respect, whatever they deserve. Otherwise, it's a disservice to them. If we give some person less respect than he deserves, that's an offense. And if we give more respect to somebody that he doesn't respect, that he doesn't deserve, that is the disservice, because we are allowing that person to become more puffed up, and that will deviate him from the devotional life. Again, that's a lot of intricacies are there in the discussion. It's a big topic, but the idea is that when we're talking about samdarshina, it's very easy to say, hum to sabko ek saath dekhte hain. We should see everybody together, like alike. Everybody is same. Like those sweet talks, it's very easy to say, but in practicality, that catch is always there. When we talk about samdarshina, it means at the spiritual level. Of course, spiritual level, everybody is same. We should not harm any living entity. Forget about human being. Even the living entity, we should not harm. That's the stage we should reach. So, but if somebody is not at that level, then materially we have to be very practical and give the due respect to each and everyone. And that should be a service, actually, not out of envy or not out of bad feelings. That is out of service. Whenever there is a correction needed, we should correct a person also. Of course, if we have the right authority, not without authority. Otherwise, if we just say some darshana, everybody is equal, let them do whatever they want. See what will happen if we let our kids do whatever they want. It will be havoc in the society. So we have to be very careful with that understanding. So spiritually, we should practice to see everyone beyond this body, beyond their expressions, how they are behaving, and should have compassion for all the souls. And that's why Srila Prabhupada came all the way from Vrindavan for us, for the people in the West who were eating meat, breaking all the regulatory principles, you name it, being intoxicant all the time, living the life of hippie. And if we read and hear what Srila Prabhupada went through when he was living in New York, it was on that street, I forgot the name of the street, with hippies and trying to reform them, trying to give them Krishna consciousness. It was such a difficult task. When he came to Boston, the family he was living with, he found meat in their fridge. He tolerated. A pure Vaishnava, he was seeing meat in the fridge where he was living. He still tolerated that out of compassion, because he wanted, his goal was clear. He was seeing beyond all those things. He wanted to give Krishna consciousness to everybody. And he was living in the dangerous street of New York. Even today, if we go to those streets, they are still very dangerous in New York. And he used to live in an apartment that devotees arranged for him. And then he used to go and preach and used to write in another room, which was given to him, which was 4 blocks away from his apartment. And even to go to bathroom, to restroom, he had to walk 4 blocks multiple times every day. Imagine 70 years old person. He's walking 4 blocks in the streets of New York in the winter, in the chilled weather, just for restroom. He has done a lot for all of us. In spite of them, he was even kicked out of the apartment once by the person with whom he was sharing. He tolerated so much criticism, and still he showed us the compassion. That he was the true representation of this verse. He saw everyone beyond any faults, beyond any their bodily features, and he gave Krishna consciousness to everybody he came in contact with. So to conclude, it's already about 9:10. We talked about 2 main things today. One is getting fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness in the first verse, our mind, intelligence, our faith, getting fully surrendered, and humility, the basic trait of a devotee. And samdarshana, looking beyond the body. When we are talking about a spiritual platform, looking beyond the body and being compassionate. And that's why this movement of Srila Prabhupada is preaching movement. We have to bring all the souls, not being in our comfort level. Unfortunately, because of this COVID times, we are just sitting at home and doing this kind of satsanga. But we have to, the real thing is, we have to try to reach out to more and more souls. Get out of our comfort zones and extend this compassion. That is the whole idea of this Krishna consciousness movement. So how to develop this absorption and humility? Question is, how to develop this absorption and humility? What we need to do? Any answers?
By surrendering.
How?
So if we read more and more and get the association of the devotees, we can get the we'll get surrendered. So
yeah, practicing devotional services in the association, in the proper association. I will always use proper association because that's very, very, very important. And one thing very easy we can do every day in the comforts of our home. Every morning, we have to chant, no excuse for that. We have to chant every morning, the Maha Mantra. When we are chanting, we should remind ourselves, instead of letting our mind go here and there, we should try to pull our mind back. And one way to do that is to pray when we are chanting also. Remind ourselves, we are part and parcel of Krishna as soul. My only duty is to serve Krishna and his devotees. I have no other dharma. So my dear holy name, please bestow your mercy on me and make me absorbed in chanting your holy name. We won't be able to control our mind ourselves. We have to pray to Krishna, who is in our hands when we are chanting in the name, in the form of holy name. You have to chant to Nam Prabhu that please allow me to get absorbed in chanting your names. And we should very hopelessly, like a child crying for his mother, we should chant as much as possible. We should. So that's again a practice. It's not, nobody can do a magic. So we have to devise these means. We discuss the whole of this particular application in our Bhagavatam, that classes that we get together in the evening. Wonderful discussion we did. I can share those prayers also. And they are very helpful in improving our japa. When our japa is good, automatically we will get good services, and our devotional life will become very blissful when our chanting is good. And with chanting, another very important thing is serving devotees. Seva, Vaishnava Seva. Shuddha Bhakat Charana Renu Bhajan Anukula Bhakat Seva Param Siddhi Premalati Karmula. Shelter of a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. If we are initiated, our Gurujans, all the Gurus in ISKCON, our Acharyas, Six Goswami, Astakam we sang in the beginning, taking the shelter of all these Acharyas. Srila Prabhupada is the main Shiksha Guru of all of us, taking his shelter, of course. That is Bhajan Anukul. That is, that shelter of pure devotees is favorable to our bhajan, our devotional service. What else? Bhakat Seva Param Siddhi, and associating with Vaishnavas who can uplift us, who can give us proper knowledge, proper association, who can help us, that can give us prem in the devotional service. So both are needed. और सेवा वैष्णवों की सेवा करना है, not the karmi. Of course, due to our jobs, we have to go out and serve other people, but we should make sure that our portion of serving devotees and Krishna is more. Then there is nothing called as balance. We have to, if we want to progress in bhakti, we have to increase our devotional services more and more than our material services. And then when we become, expert, we can even convert those material activities into spiritual activities. One example of humility that comes to me is whenever Guru Maharaj comes or other acharyas comes, a lot of Gurujans have come by mercy of Krishna and Prabhupada in Reading. So I remember whenever they come, they ask me, or even when they come to temple, they ask the president, okay, how would you like me to serve there? So imagine a Guru Tattva, who is Sakshat Krishna. All these pure devotees, they're asking us, how can he serve us? So when we say, no Maharaj, you choose the topic, whatever you would like to speak. What are their words? No, I am your servant. I'm the servant of my disciples. I'm the servant of all devotees. So you tell us what you would like to cover in the program. So very heart touching, like we are nowhere, to tell them what needs to be done. But they come in the service mood, such a humble mood that that's not coming to get har or respect or opulences, to stay in your house. They are actually tolerating all these nuisances we do. We can't even serve them properly. So just it came to me, I just get reminded of I think I'm missing the association of pure devotees. Of course, because of COVID, nobody is traveling. But just wanted to share that even another example of humility that comes to me. That how these, it's not like, okay, we are coming, arrange this seminar, we will do this, and I will speak about this, not on their own accord. They are very humble. They ask us, how can we serve them? So that's all I have. It's 9:15. Any questions, any comments? I really apologize if anything I would have misspoken. out of my ignorance. I just tried to read and spoke what I heard from our Gurujans. But of course, out of my conditioning, I might have spoken something. So please forgive me for that. But feel free to correct anything that you feel like. And anything you would like to comment on, or even ask a question. We can all together learn from that question. I hope everyone is awake. Can everyone say Haribo? So I know everyone is awake. Almost 95%. Okay, Haribo. Okay, great. So I hope it was somewhat useful and it may help us in some way in our devotional life through the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. Any questions once again? Any comments? Anything you'd like? Okay. Maybe sometimes we are scared of saying something negative. So maybe anything you would have liked from today that you would take away for you?
Prabhuji, I like this statement about one's intelligence, mind, faith, and surrender are all fixed in the Supreme Lord Krishna.
Very nice. And how to do that? Even
chanting,
yeah.
While chanting, praying to Krishna and thinking about him.
Yes, and Vaishnava Seva,
And
serving the devotees. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. Anyone else? Anil uncle, anything? Anything from your notes?
I mean, chanting is the way to go. I mean, that's the basic. And if we do that on a daily basis, we'll get to that path. That's the way to go.
Yes. It's very, very important. Anything else? Ajay Prabhu, Neena Mataji, Madhu Mataji, Anuradha Mataji, Rachna Mataji, Anita Mataji. Anything, any one thing?
We should humble to like every living entity, all kind of living entity.
Yes.
I liked it actually.
Yeah, truly humble. Yeah.
Truly humble.
Not sometimes, not to some people, not to others, with each and everyone all the time. Yes, Ajay Prabhuji.
सेवा भाव होना चाहिए.
Hari Bol, yeah, Seva Bhav. Chanting and Seva Bhav. These two things combination can do wonders for us. I'm sure all the devotees here must have experienced that. If not all the time, sometimes. Anita Mataji, anything?
Hare Krishna. I would say I miss the all association together, meeting on Fridays and spending some time together, chanting together, Sankirtan. That's the most.
Yeah, well, hopefully we are thinking. Ajay Prabhu gave me a suggestion that maybe whenever there is a good weather, we can do, outside program with whoever devotee wants to come. We'll see how it works out. Maybe instead of Friday, that we can do on Saturday, little early in the sunlight. But absolutely, I'm missing too. I mean, I'm sure all of us are missing. Anyone else? Madhu Mataji, Rachna Mataji, anything you would have liked today, or anything you would like to add or correct?
Association, Prabhuji, that's what Anita said.
Yes, but again, until we are able to meet, we should increase our hearing, our chanting as much as we can, and at least virtually we can all come online and meet. So my humble request, couple of requests. Before that, who's remaining? Ramabu Prabhu, anything? Krishna Mataji, anything?
Nothing, Prabhu. Good. The only thing is like when we are surrendered to Krishna, we don't need to be anxious for any material things because Krishna will take care of.
Yes, yes. And another important point was that Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, one who is in spiritual knowledge, who is filled with spiritual knowledge, he will be very humble. So these are the signs of person who is filled with spiritual knowledge. These signs are very important because not only we don't have to judge others, but for us to improve in Krishna consciousness, we should know what work we need to do on ourselves. So just by reading, and if we are not transforming our habits, our nature, our dealings with others, then there is a problem. Okay, so a couple of requests I want to make is, first of all, if all of us can join program on time, it's very important to make the program as priority. If we, since we are coming regularly to it, that puts Krishna before anything else. So we should try to come join on time, and starting with the kirtans, that puts us through out the program in the good consciousness. And second thing is that it's a request that if I'm having a little tough time, I have been thinking about scheduling some outside speakers also so that we can learn from their experiences also. But the challenge I am facing is I don't know on which Friday who is available, who is not. So I'm not demanding that anyone has to tell me their schedule or anything, but in case you know on certain Fridays that you're not available in advance, if you can just let me know that available or not available. That's just a request. If you feel comfortable doing that, it will help me to arrange some outside speakers, because we don't want to invite them with just 3-4 devotees. They will be happy to still come. That's the culture in ISKCON, very strong culture that it's not based on the number of audience. But personally, I feel when we are inviting somebody, I would like to see more devotees can benefit from their association. So in the past, devotees used to send me message that they're available, not available, but I don't see that anymore. So just a request, if we can maintain that, that will also show our sincerity to the program. So again, this is just a request. So what I will do, I will probably also, I will share a couple of dates where I think we can arrange some outside speaker, and you can let me know whether you're available or not. But in general also, I would like to request everyone to let me know if on certain Fridays you're available or not available. You can let me know in a personal message. You don't have to post on the group. And it's not a judgment on anybody that based on that somebody will be judged or we will ask more questions. Just we want to know so that we can serve this program more effectively. So thank you for that. And Ram Navami is coming on Wednesday, I think, 21st April. So do we want to celebrate on the same day or on Friday? Either way is fine with us. What everyone thinks, it will be like we are celebrating the festivals on the same days. We can celebrate Ram Navami on Wednesday itself on 21st April. Again, 7:30, maybe we can start at 7:30 in the evening, and an hour-long program. We can have a nice Ram Katha. Will that work for everybody?
Yep.
Anyone has any issues with that? Yes, no?
Hare Krishna Bhaiya.
Hare Krishna Didi.
Wednesday's problem, like evenings, I cannot do it.
Sure, no problem. No problem. Yeah. Anyone else has a problem on Wednesday, 21st? Okay, so I think it sounds like everyone else is okay with celebrating Ram Navami on the same day. So we'll arrange a program. And with that, we can go to Narsimha prayers. Anil Uncle, would you like to sing Narsimha prayer today?
Yeah, sure. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladaya Daine.
Praladadaine.
Hiranyakashipurvakshaha.
Hiranyakashipurvakshaha.
Shilatankanakalaye.
Shilatankanakalaye.
Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha.
Ito Narsingho Parato Narsingho.
Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimha.
Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsingho.
Braha Narsimha Hrudaye Narsimha.
Bahir Narsingho Hridaye Narsingho.
Narsingamadi Sharanam Prapade.
Narsinghamadin Sharanam Prapade.
Tava Kara Kamalavare Nakham Adbhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubhranga Keshavadruta Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare.
Tava Kar Kamalavare Nakham Adbhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubhringam Keshavadruta Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare.
Jaya Narsimha Dev, Jaya Narsimha Dev, Narsimha Dev, Jaya Narsimha Dev.
Jaya Narsingha Dev, Jaya Narsingha Dev, Narsingha Dev, Jaya Narsingha Dev.
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj.
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
Jai Prabhupada.
Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaur.
Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaur.
Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nrsimha Bhagwan Maharaj ki
जय श्रील प्रभुपाद
Hare
की जय
Jai.
सब भक्तजनों की जय थैंक यू अगेन थैंक यू सो मच अंकल वेरी नाइस thank you for singing thank you all the devotees for your association today and we look forward to see you on next Friday. Hari Bol, take care.
Hari Bol.
If we can take darshan
Hari
also,
Bol.
Kishori.
Jai.
Hari Bol.
Very beautiful.
Beautiful.
Sabe Manaha Krishna Padar Vind.
Hmm.
By taking darshan of Vigraha, by reading, by chanting, our mind will get engaged. Hari Bol. Jai Jai.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Take care of your health.
Hare
Take care of
Krishna.
everything.
Hare
Hari
Krishna.
Bol. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Hari Bol.